I'm Margaret Coons. I'm the founder and CEO at Nuts for Cheese. I think London has a number of really unique advantages when it comes to manufacturing because there is a really sort of diverse, especially in the food manufacturing sector, number of businesses here that are all different sizes. So there's a lot of SMEs, there's a lot of large companies, and for that reason, there's a lot of resources and mentorship available. The other thing about London is uniquely positioned geographically. So we're right on the highway. We have a local airport that makes it pretty easy to get around, and lease rates are relatively affordable in the region as well. For us, it's definitely an advantage to be close to the US border, not necessarily because we're doing travel right now. I haven't been to the US since before COVID, but we do ship our products from our plant here in London. So freight, especially on refrigerated products, is quite expensive. So the closer you are to where you're going is a huge advantage. I would just say that I think London's a great place to have a manufacturing company. I feel really fortunate that this is where I launched my business. I'm from Hamilton originally. I went to Western, and that's how I ended up here. But at some point, early on in the business growth, I was thinking, maybe I should move back to Hamilton. That's where my family is. That's where I'm more familiar. And I didn't do it, and I'm so glad I didn't. London's been great to me, and it's a good place to have a business. Manufacturing is a key priority for London, and I think it's definitely a driver for London City Council to really focus on supporting manufacturing businesses because there are huge opportunities for job creation and economic growth within that sector. And so I think that we've seen a lot of support for our industry and our business in particular through the support systems that London has available. I think it is a collaborative effort for sure. I think that London has a ton of great resources in terms of small business support. So we've got the Small Business Center, we've got the LEDC, the university at Western and Fanshawe College both have entrepreneurial programs as well. So I think it's just continuing to develop those conversations and build those relationships. And work with the city as well. The LEDC has been hugely helpful in terms of connecting. I think a lot of it is about relationship building and networking, and not so much we've gotten finite or tangible resources from any particular organization. It's really just been about you have this issue. We know hundreds of people that we can connect you with that could, help give you some feedback or point you in the right direction. And that's been huge. Candace from our team, she actually works on a small business manufacturing board as well. So she sits on a panel every year, and they, award scholarships to students that are in high school and hoping to go to university to study manufacturing. And we actually sat on their panel last year, and that was an incredible event because there were so many people that were so engaged, and I made so many great connections out of that event as well. We've met with the EDC a few times, and they've been, really helpful in just helping us sort of conceptualize how to start selling in the US. We just recently launched our products in the US within the last few months. And so we have met with, the EDC and the BDC a couple of times to sort of help conceptualize what the process should look like, what steps we needed to take, all of those, sort of logistics and technical details that are things that I didn't think about at all when I started, thinking about, there's stores in the US that want our product. I didn't think about customs. I didn't think about having to do cross-border stuff or, any of that kind of thing. So they've been hugely helpful in terms of feedback and advice. I would say that London's food manufacturing sector is very diverse. In London, we have lots and lots of small food businesses that are, making food products that they're selling at farmers markets or maybe to some local retailers. There's a lot of catering companies and things like that. And then we have also on the other end of things like the Dr. Oetkers, the Nestle, Maple Leaf, et cetera, and all of these really big food plants as well. And for us, it's been, really inspiring to be in that mix because we have a lot of great connections with local companies like Butch Organic Kombucha, for example, they're just up the road and they're great friends of ours, and we're able to collaborate on all kinds of things. But then we can also reach out to those larger companies for feedback, advice, resources. We've actually hired a lot of people that have come from those larger companies over the years, and so it's kind of nice that London is a food manufacturing hub. And I do see lots of food companies are moving to London, the new Maple Leaf plant, for example. There is a lot of interest in the area, and I think it's because of its unique geographical positioning and just sort of the community here for sure, and the interest in the sector. think one thing that makes London really attractive to foreign investment, especially in terms of food manufacturing, is the amount of farmland that we're surrounded by. So there is like a very vibrant agricultural scene in the surrounding area, and there's unique opportunities for investors because of all of the wide varieties of crops and access to fresh water, with the Great Lakes being right there. And then also I think that like at Western University, for example, like Russia has, a very food-oriented set of resources for their students, and their food and nutrition program, for example, is very focused on helping students grow and work within the industry and hopefully stay in London, I think. So I think that that's attractive to foreign companies, that there's like a pool of young people that are receiving that training. And then also there's another thing that is pretty new to London. The Grove is a project through the Western Fair District. So they've got a new manufacturing set up for small businesses to be able to rent space at an affordable rate. So I think it's just like there's a lot of buzz happening here, and I think that the ecosystem is kind of growing and developing all the time. So I think that investors and people that are looking to move into our area want to be somewhere that's sort of vibrant and dynamic, and I think that London does have that. Well, London sort of remains one of Canada's most affordable cities to be able to run a business in. There's not necessarily a huge amount of industrial buildings that are available for rent. So starting out, it was definitely a challenge to try to find manufacturing space. And I was very fortunate because I was able to use the Western Fair Farmers Market as sort of a launching pad. And I rented an 8x10 booth there that was certified by the Health Unit. So I was able to produce food products there, but finding something that was zoned appropriately and, had sort of the infrastructure that we needed was definitely challenging. So I think that more collaboration between the city and finding spaces for manufacturers would be really helpful, and probably some more collaboration between the colleges and manufacturing businesses would be really helpful too. I'll say that I'm, super fortunate to have a really strong, diverse, and qualified team, and a lot of people have come from other manufacturing companies in London. A lot of people have, studied at Fanshawe College for the food science program. They've worked at either Western or Fanshawe in terms of different manufacturing programs, or they've worked at the plants nearby. I think that because London does have such a strong and diverse food and beverage manufacturing sector, there are, a lot of really qualified people that are moving around from position to position. And I feel really fortunate because a lot of our strongest team members have been with me for over 3 years now. But I think, like any manufacturing company, we've worked really hard to build our production team, and our production and manufacturing has changed so much over the years from, it was me making the products in a restaurant kitchen in the middle of the night 5 years ago to now, I haven't made cheese in years, but it's changed from, recipe to formula. And with that, our team has changed a lot as well.